For the past year, I've been living in a Honda Civic with my cat, and in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what I've been doing to make money, including the names and the details of a couple of apps that I've been using that have made me thousands of dollars. I wanted to tell you this months ago, but I've been gatekeeping for my own safety, and I feel like you'll understand why by the end of this video. For anyone who's new here, living in a car with your cat has certain limitations to what you can do to make money, because I can't leave my cat in the car and go work a regular job, because especially in Montreal, it is generally either too hot or too cold to leave her in the car alone with the doors and windows closed. So I have to be there to keep the windows open and the doors open and the fan on in the summer, or in the winter I have to keep her warm, however, cuddling her, turning the heater on, or whatever. I also have to strategically park in the summer to always be in the shade, which can be difficult if the place where you work doesn't even offer that as an option. However, one of the advantages to living in a car is that you can travel and make money, because I can go to another city and just sleep there. And I have found that with these apps, that has been very advantageous. I might come back around to this, but I know that some people are going to be like, oh, why don't you just leave your cat with someone else or somewhere else while you work? Hopefully I'll remember to touch on that a little later in this video. But just to say, because I can. Everyone's situation is going to be different, and some people are going to have different options. Some people are going to have a lot of luck making money doing things like Instacart or DoorDash. When I first moved into the car, I applied to these apps, and that was not an option to me because they put me on a wait list, and I never heard back for many, many months because there were no openings. They had too many drivers already. More recently, like maybe a couple months ago, I think, I did finally get an email back from Instacart, and I tried signing up, but it sketched me out because of the questions they were asking sounded very invasive. And since we're in a time of violating surveillance, I got sketched out and I didn't finish the sign-up process. I have signed up for many apps, and none of them have asked me the questions that this app was asking me, or asking for the permissions that this app was asking me, and I just felt weird. And maybe some of you are going to think that that's paranoia, maybe, but I do what I want. Either way, by that time, I had already established several other income streams, and like I said, we're about to touch on those. So the first one that I started with was iViewIt, which was probably the most lucrative of all of them. Again, in case I forgot to mention, this video is not sponsored by anyone. Even though I have asked them to sponsor me, they won't even respond to my messages, which I will get to in a second about all that. But this is the app that I've been referring to as road trip gigs, because I didn't really know what else to call it without exposing which app it was. Because it's not really mystery shopping, it's kind of more like auditing. Basically, you go into the map, you find a job that's available, you reserve it, you go to the place, and then you just do what the app tells you to do, which is generally just taking specific pictures of things and answering questions. So a lot of the time in Canada, it'll be a Home Depot or a Starbucks, sometimes a Walmart. They had Banks once. Now they're doing Whole Foods. There are a lot more of these jobs available in the States, like a lot more. As the month progresses, the payout for these jobs increases, but the other thing is that other people in your area may also be competing for the same job, so you're kind of risking losing out on that job completely if you wait till the end of the month, because someone else might do it first. But a lot of the time I'll find like a Starbucks job for like $45, and it takes me about 45 minutes to complete, an hour or so with the drive. So I have to drive out there, then I have to take pictures of the parking lot, of the grass and the landscaping and whatever else, the outside of the building, the doors, the windows. They'll ask me a series of questions if anything looks broken and this kind of thing. Then I have to go inside, and there is a series of other things that I have to take pictures of. This is a vacant Starbucks, in case you're wondering. So there's no one in there and there's no stuff in there, but I got to take pictures of the ceiling and the back room and the floors and the toilets and the sinks and whatever else to make sure that there are no security issues or anything broken or anything that needs to be addressed. And the whole process, like I said, takes about 45 minutes to an hour, and I'll get about $35 to $45 US for that. So even though there are limited jobs available, it does pay out a lot. So what I found helpful was that I would travel. So if there was 3 Starbucks available in Montreal, I would do those, and then I would go to the next city. I would go to Ottawa. I would go wherever. And so I have been traveling a lot, going all the way to Quebec City and all the way to the outskirts of Toronto, and doing these little jobs to make as much money as possible. And when you do a bunch of them like that, it adds up to a lot of money. Then someone introduced me to another app called Field Agent, which I started using, which pays a lot less for each job. It has been a lot harder to make money with this app, but it's still useful, especially when there are no jobs available on iViewIt. Field Agent generally always has something, but the jobs might only be like $3, but it's $3 for maybe 20 minutes of work. And there will be many of them clustered in one area. And sometimes you luck out and they have well-paid jobs available, especially the ones that no one else wants to do, like the mystery shopping jobs where you actually have to talk to people. Most of these jobs you just go in and secretly take pictures of products, but the ones where you actually have to pretend you're a customer and ask a bunch of questions, most people don't like to do them. I love to do them because I don't mind doing that, and they pay a lot more. And field agent jobs will be everywhere, whereas the iViewIt jobs are more spread out. So as I'm driving, I can fill in the gaps with the field agent jobs and pay for my gas at the very least, so that at the end of the trip, everything that I made from iViewIt is pure profit. With my car not working anymore, meaning it's not safe to drive long distances, I can't do that anymore. So even though I still need to work out my financial situation, there's no reason for me to gatekeep these anymore. So here you go. But last year I was really concerned, for good reason, that if I had told people what these were, even though there's tons of jobs in the States, there's far fewer in Canada, and even if one person in my area saw my video and then downloaded the app and started doing these jobs, they would take basically my entire income away from me. And so I couldn't risk it. I'm sorry. The main downside to iViewIt is basically the customer service experience. When I first started using the app, I was like this bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, oh my God, I love you guys, I'll do anything to help you. And I had reached out to them several times in several places, on social media, by email, all the things. I received no response. None. Not on social media. No acknowledgement of communication. Nothing. No email back. Nothing. They would occasionally do these live streams for Q&A. They still do. But what they would do is they would announce the payout increase, so I would get out on the road to do the jobs, and then while I'm driving or while I'm working, they announce that they're doing a Facebook Q&A at the same time. So I have a choice to either do the jobs and make money, or to go on Facebook and join them on their live stream. So obviously I chose to make money. At some point, I finally managed to be on their live stream while they were on, and I asked them a question and I was ignored. Even though there was like a whole 5 people in the chat, somehow they just didn't see my question. And my question was about why was their customer service texting service gaslighting me, which is the other thing. It's very easy to communicate with their customer service while you're on the road, because it's just one text away. And they respond pretty quickly. However, I am still not sure if I'm ever talking to a person or just a bot. because even though they get back to you, it's almost never helpful. It's always some generic, bubbly response, and either by the time they get an answer back, I've already figured out the solution on my own, or they just don't have an answer. And at one point, I had suggested to them, because I was like, I'm on the road, I see that your map is limiting me as to how far out I can see where the jobs are, and I want to know in this like next city or whatever if there are multiple jobs there, because if I go all the way there to find out, then I'll have spent money on gas and it won't be worth it for me. So I would love to have an idea of what's out there to know if it's worth it for me to drive out there. And their response to me wasn't just, well, sorry, we can't tell you because that's the way the app works, or something like that. No, they told me there are no listed jobs in Canada. And I'm like, okay, that's not true, because I'm looking at your map right now and I can see that there are jobs in Canada. So I know that's not true, but I'm asking for a specific location in Ontario, because if you know, Ontario is massive. So I'm like, if you can give me a better idea, because it's not telling me if there's any, I just need to know if I should drive out there. Like, there's no jobs in Canada. And I'm like, yes, there are. Like, I'm literally looking at the map right now and I can see that there are jobs in Canada. What are you talking about? Again, there are no listed jobs in Canada. I screenshot the map, their own map. I screenshot their map and I texted to them. I'm like, can you see this picture that I sent you? There are no listed jobs in Canada. What? And so I went out and I did a job in Canada, and I got paid for the job in Canada, and I texted them. I'm like, I just did and got paid for a job in Canada, and you've been telling me that there's no jobs in Canada. Why are you gaslighting me? Why are you telling me this? So anyways, I asked about that in their live stream Q&A, and I was ignored. So the entire experience of customer service, other than the fact that this one time when I lost my shit at them because I drove out far and the lockbox wasn't opening, so I'm like, I wasted a ton of time and gas money, and I can't even get into the building because the lockbox is broken, and then the time ran out, and then you deleted all my pictures from, anyway, that's a whole other thing. And I got really mad, and they paid me for the job anyways, but I'm like, I just don't want you to delete all the pictures because I just did all that work. Why are you deleting all the pictures? That would be my final complaint here, is that they have a hard deadline. And if your pictures don't upload by the time the deadline is up, the app just deletes all your work. So you just worked for an hour and you have an internet problem or something like that, and you're like 5 seconds late past the deadline before your thing uploads completely, and they just delete all the work that you did for the past hour. And that kind of thing, I lost my mind. So just stupid things like that are really annoying, but it does pay well when the jobs are there. So I still recommend it to people who need the money. I have been harassed on job sites. Again, the people at the app don't really care about that or a woman's safety or taking any kind of precautions for that or anything like that. So that also is annoying. If you hurt yourself, I've gone to jobs where it was pitch black inside. You're a subcontractor, so they're not liable for your safety, and they just don't care. So things like that, very annoying. And these are reasons why I'm happy to move away from the app and do something else. But again, if you need quick cash, it's a great option. Field agent also has its pros and cons. It's much harder to access. Customer service, but they seem to actually answer your questions when you do. So there's that. Other than that, ways that I've made money was last year I was making a little bit of AdSense money for YouTube videos. This year, I don't know if I can say this other platform here, but like the Blue F thing. You know what I mean? So they started a new program where I, as a Canadian, am actually getting paid for Reels now. So that's nice. They also had a bonus thing going on. So for a few months, they were paying me extra as long as I posted a certain number of videos. So that was good. Income tax money, that was another helpful thing, which I get because I'm not on welfare. I've also talked about why welfare is a trap and how it doesn't pay you enough to survive, and especially doesn't pay you enough to get housed and get your life on track, and doesn't allow you to make enough money apart from welfare to actually save up to do anything. The last two significant ways that I have made money living in the car are astrology readings, which if you want a book, by the way, I have a link in the description, and donations. There were 2 times over the last year where kind people on the internet came together and basically saved my butt. And I will be forever grateful for them. And at the very least, try to pay it forward. And there's also a woman, one of my subscribers, who's most likely watching this right now. Her name is Vera, who has been extremely, incredibly generous and truly has been my guardian angel throughout this process. Thank you. So that's it. I hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them, or possibly make a follow-up video to answer them. If you're interested, I put my Patreon back up. That link is also in the description below. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, do all the things. I appreciate you. Goodbye.